All right, everybody, we are back with another episode of season 2 of the Afflatus. Today on the show, we have Ramya Ravi, who is the director of Nandhana Group, which owns a chain of restaurants serving Andhra cuisine in Bangalore, India. Ramya has been recognized as the emerging women entrepreneur by Economic Times. I had a brief interaction with Ramya while I was studying at Harvard, and as she continued on her journey of success, I knew that there would be an interesting story behind it. In today's episode, Ramya talks about joining her family business, creating an influential inner circle, and leading from the front as a female entrepreneur. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the exciting journey of Ramya Ravi. Welcome to the show, Ramya.
Thank you. Thank you, Alok. Pleasure to be on your show.
So, what's your story?
So, my story goes on such that how often would you find a 20-year-old who's taken up a leadership position in her organization and who has to face the barriers of just not age and gender, but she also has a responsibility to ensure that every decision she takes leads to excellence. So before I go more into my story, let me just explain. I'll talk about the quote I came across long back. The quote went such that it said, "Do you want to be a 25-year-old who is like any other 25-year-old, or do you want to be a 25-year-old who's different?" I think this decision was taken at a very early stage itself, in my early 20s, to take a path which not many 20-year-olds would probably do. So since a very young age, in fact, I had a very clear vision set that post my education, I wanted to pursue working in my family business. But when people, talk about family business, a lot of them think that you're gifted, you're born with a silver spoon, everything comes very easy. But what I strongly believe, and sorry to break the notion, that family business is probably as challenging or as difficult as starting up. You will have to make your point. You will have to make an impact. Otherwise, it is time for you to pack up if you're not able to make an impact in your own firm. People are not going to take you seriously if you're not going to be able to make an impact. So, before I go into my story, let me just explain a little about my family business. So, my dad started this firm called Nandhana Palace way back in the 1980s. We are a chain of restaurants who specialize in Andhra cuisine, which is a category of Indian cuisine. We have around 15 branches located in Bangalore. So after I finished my undergrad, I obviously took up the challenge to work. At the same time, when I started working, in fact, I had received an offer from a very reputed university, which is the National University of Singapore. I was accepted into the master's course, but I chose to work rather than pursue my master's. That was a very tough decision I had to take at that point in time, but probably now I can say maybe it was the right decision. So some of the challenges to quickly go into, some of the challenges I encountered at that point in time was first being an absolute fresher, working in a family business, working with people who are way more experienced than you. They're coming with probably a decade of experience, and some of them have probably been since inception. So in our case, who has 3 decades of experience in your firm. Making such people listen to you when you have a different vision for the organization, when you have different ideas to the organization, how do you make such people in your organization listen to you and take you seriously?
As you were recounting the events from your family business, it almost felt like I was reliving my days of being in my family business, because these are the exact events that happened while I was there, which means
that's great to hear.
Yeah, and it's, I think, exciting to see that how you've been able to make your contributions count and propel your business to another level. And I think you said something in the beginning that
Mm-hmm.
really connected with me, that being part of a family business is not
Mm-hmm.
like you are born with a silver spoon. There are
Absolutely,
still
absolutely.
obstacles that you need to overcome. How did your education play a role in helping you develop a career?
Well, my take on education is it's undoubtedly very, very important, not just in expanding your horizons in terms of the knowledge which is imparted to you in the form of the curriculum which an education system puts into place, but also it's a main contributor to shape your personality as a whole. It also plays a very vital role in drawing the pathway or the direction to which career you want to take, the career path you want to take. So, but my take on education more so is, rather than, like I mentioned, just one segment is the education which is imparted to you in the form of the curriculum. On the other segment, it is more with the kind of exposure you get out of meeting new people. I think this is where my maximum learning has been. Meeting new people, understanding about their backgrounds, understanding their take on a particular topic, their intellectual capacities, getting exposed to different kinds of viewpoints. And in fact, a lot of ideas which I probably took back home was in meeting new people. And more so, it might be an irony for me to say this about education, because I myself didn't pursue my higher education. In fact, after my undergrad, I did this course back in Harvard, which was the family business management course. I got highly involved in my family business at that point in time, and hence when I got back, I did take up a very important role leading a team at that point in time, and hence when I got my opportunity um, of uh, of pursuing my master's when I got accepted in National University of Singapore, it was a tough choice for me to either pursue my master's or to continue to work. At that point of time, in fact, how I took the decision was, I just thought about 3 years from now, if which will be more impactful. Would it be continuing to work, or would it be pursuing my higher education and then getting back? The former at that point of time seemed more practical and probably the need of the hour then. And hence, I was in an utter state of confusion back then, but probably now I can confidently say that was the right decision. So, but what I strongly believe about education is you need to be a lifelong student. In fact, Indra Noori, once the CEO, the ex-CEO of Pepsi, once said that this is what she said, that you have to be a lifelong child, you have to be a lifelong student. I couldn't agree more than this. So we as students, essentially, we're very curious when we're children. In fact, we're very, very curious and we ask questions. We ask questions about probably why the sky is blue, why do birds fly. We're so curious about to know what everything around us looks like. But somewhere down the lane, we tend to lose the curiosity, and the time when you think that probably you've gained all the knowledge and there's nothing more to gain, that's the time I would say you've reached a dead end, and that is a time when you've reached a point of saturation. It's very important for you to be a lifelong student. It is very important. There's so much, there's knowledge abundance for you to learn in this world out here. So it's very important to ensure that your education is not just limited to the degrees you earn, but also your education will sustain for the longest of period in time.
Curiosity is certainly the fuel that drives learning.
Absolutely.
And the more you put into your education, the more you'll get out of it.
Absolutely.
And the beauty about education is that, you can acquire very different standalone skills,
Mm-hmm.
and yet you can work towards something that brings all of them together.
Yes.
And I think that's something, I guess, that happened in my scenario, where I was studying finance, but then I
Okay.
shifted to media.
Okay.
But being in finance gave me that understanding of how to raise capital and how to allocate it to different resources and how to distribute it amongst projects.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually allowed me to become a better film producer than most other people. What's your definition of happiness?
Well, it's very easy to say, probably I get the most happiness in when you achieve your task, when you achieve your business goals, when you have your numbers set, when you tend to progress into achieving the vision or the mission you've set towards your business, be it short term or long term. But what I truly believe is success is not about the destination, is more so about the journey. So happiness for me comes when, at the end of the day, when I feel that the 9 to 9 schedule I have lived that day to the fullest. I have productively spent this day, and I've progressed towards the larger picture or the larger goal in life. That is what for me is what gets me maximum happiness. Right? That's for me, if I have to explain happiness in my life, this is how I would very shortly put it. More so when when we see probably people in your organization getting their incentives. I think this is something which truly I feel much more happier probably than they would feel giving incentive than them getting an incentive. That truly makes me happy. And yes, and also more so when, as an organization, when you can give back to the society, right? So in the tough time, it's currently in the COVID scenario, all businesses, in fact, are facing a very tough time. But in this time, in fact, we had taken up an initiative to serve 10,000 meals every day to those who need it. And this is something which also makes me proud that we can contribute as an organization, maybe small, but still we're able to contribute. So these are the things which I think defines happiness in the space where I stay in. And yes, it makes me all the more happy when it's achieved.
With the initiative of serving other people meals, I think you are spreading that happiness all
Absolutely,
across
absolutely.
all across Bangalore. So I think that's great. And I think, happiness is such a personal and internal thing because everyone, as you mentioned, will have a different definition of it. But
Absolutely.
um, to see or to find happiness in other people's growth or progress, I think is the sign of a true leader. And it's great to see that you stand by that notion. Since we both come from family business, I think you can relate to this question. How have the people around you, like your friends and family, inspired or influenced?
Well, this, even I say, continues to happen, and probably it's from your birth till death is something which you're always influenced by people. In fact, man itself, right, is a social being. So at every stage in life, he or she will be influenced by the people around you. So to put it very short, I think talking about family first, my dad, my father, has got about a lot of discipline in my life. So this is something which he's highly influenced me. The value system which I hold, my mom largely holds the credit for that. And then I have two sisters. My elder sister has been my biggest critic. So anything I do or anything we do, so she's been the biggest critic in my life. And yes, also my life partner now. In fact, our understanding with each other in terms of a relationship is we've committed to be a part and be instrumental in each other's growth, be it your personal or your professional life. So my partner also largely, can be termed as a critic, and he really pushes me to outperform or perform way better than I can possibly do. And yes, friends, of course, they've largely influenced me in what to do and also what not to do. So I strongly believe that, it's about the wise is not just to learn from your mistakes. You also need to learn from other people's mistakes. So that's something which I have always believed, and hence, friends on that context have really influenced me in terms of what probably to do and what not to do as well. So, and the influence will obviously continue for the longest of time.
When I was growing up, my grandfather told me this quote that your inner circle should comprise of people that is unaffected by your failure or your success.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
yeah, I think that has been proven to be a very valuable advice as far as my
Mm-hmm,
journey is
mm-hmm,
concerned, because I am surrounded with people that either don't understand what I do, which are my parents,
mm-hmm,
or people that are so far removed from understanding what I do,
mm-hmm,
is that they kind of like, really don't relate with it, or the
mm-hmm,
highs and lows of it.
mm-hmm.
So for them, it's like, yeah, he's doing whatever he likes to do, and that's where, like, their understanding ends. And that's a good thing, because even in worst of times, they will make you believe that you can achieve something. How would you say is your leadership style different than others?
Well, my influence of leadership largely comes from my school days, actually. So, back in school, in college, we had I had a cost accountant teacher, right? She used to be very disciplined, and the she used to be so disciplined that all the assignments had to come on time. If not, we would brutally be punished. Otherwise, and more so, her way of education was reading out notes, and it was highly dictated to us, and we just had to follow. And so, more so, it was very strict, very systematic, and to the point. As compared to this, there was another teacher who was my taxation teacher. So, taxation per se might be a very dry subject, right? But he would be so kind and liberal towards the way he used to teach. In fact, he very bluntly told us that if you're interested, please do attend my class. And his style of teaching would be in such a manner wherein he would relate the subject to a lot of real life situations, to real life scenarios. And that made the subject a lot more interesting, and we as students realized the importance of taxation in our lives going ahead. And on a personal level, so at the end of the year, my marks in taxation was way higher than cost accounting. So taking back from this, my leadership has been to make people realize their importance in work, to make them a very crucial part in the organization. And my leadership style essentially has always been that this is what I always say. The time you say, thank God it's Monday rather than thank God it's Friday, I think that's the best gift you can give to yourself. So
Absolutely.
that's what has that's what has been my effort as well. So make them realize the importance their role has in the organization. Make them in charge of the organization, right? Make them believe in your vision. Make them to think of themselves like owners of the organization, and they should perform like they are the owners of the organization. So that's how I would like to see myself, and that's what my effort has always been.
When people see you in an organizational setting, that you are really committed and disciplined to achieving something, then they also kind of match their productivity and their involvement to that level. So I think a leader's job is kind of twofold, in that sense that not only they have to kind of develop a vision for where they want to take the organization, but also instill that energy and that zest in people, and make them feel like you are making a difference every single day that you work with us. And once that starts to happen, I think it becomes a very well-oiled machine, and people take pride in being a part of an organization, rather than thinking of it as just another way of earning a paycheck. When was the last time you tried something for the first time?
So, considering it's the lockdown, I think every day is all about trying something new. But that aside, in fact, I strongly believe that every individual should have three hobbies. One is, of course, which makes you make a living for yourself. In other words, which makes you earn money. So that I would obviously credit to my work. And if you're extremely passionate, that all the more becomes all the more exciting. And second, you should definitely, every individual must have a hobby, which allows oneself to be fit. So thereby, I am very committed to fitness. In fact, exploring new trends in the market as far as fitness is concerned really excites me. I'm always on my toes to experiment anything new when it comes to fitness. And also the third hobby, which I'll be referring to, is your creative side. So I think every person should also have a hobby which brings out the creative side of a person. And thanks to the lockdown, I've been able to even explore this side, be it experimenting cooking or even learning and like reliving my passion for dance. I've learned classical dance for the longest of time, and thanks to the time I have now, I'm able to relive and sort of mend my skills in dancing as well. So this is something which I think of late I've been doing new.
That's another positive side of lockdown, that a lot of people are
Absolutely.
reconnecting with their true self
Yes.
and taking up things that they haven't done in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I think, like a good pause that the world needed to kind of take a step back and put things into perspective. What kind of impact would you like to see your work have on people?
Like I mentioned earlier, I would always, my leadership style has been such that I would want people to realize their importance in the organization, to be happy, to have a happy space, to be at a happy space in what they do, and to work not just as employees, but think like an owner and work like an owner. So that's what I strongly put my effort towards doing. And yes, with the people in my organization, what I strongly believe is they should be proud that firstly they're part of a part of the food industry, which is involved in serving people, and more so part of an organization like Nandhana Palace, which has been there since 3 decades, and all the more we're open towards changing to the current times, and open for ideas and innovations coming from anybody in any corner of the organization. So this is the kind of impact I would essentially want people to truly believe in, and also the kind of influence I would like to have on people.
There is a certain pride that comes from being part of a hospitality industry,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I think that gives a sense of satisfaction at the end of the day, that you played a role in giving someone a day's meal.
Mm.
And I think that's a wonderful feeling. And doesn't matter if you're serving, like, poorest of the people or
Mm.
richest of the people.
Yes.
Food is something that, affects all of us in the same way, because we are all humans.
Mm. So this is something which
So
I
I
also
think
strongly believe, right? So we as businesses should some way or the other contribute to giving back to the society whenever possible, whichever way possible. So be it if you can help out at the tough times like now, which is the lockdown period, or in any other way, it is important for businesses to give back. And as a small effort, we recently did so, and we're always in an effort to do so.
that's another aspect of family business that most people don't
Mm-hmm.
realize, is that their contribution, at least to the local communities, is so important
Mm-hmm.
that you don't get to see it unless you have been part of that environment. So that brings us to our last question. What's next? What are the exciting ideas or projects that you're working on, and what can the listeners expect from you going ahead?
Yes, from an organization perspective, what is next is currently we're based in Bangalore. We're very soon looking at, coming into a new state, which is Chennai, and we obviously aim towards spreading our wings not just all around India, but around the world as well, making our cuisine, which is the Indian cuisine, reach out to different parts of the world, is what our long term goal is. But yes, as of now, considering the current scenario, considering the lockdown and the COVID scenario, I think post lockdown, we do forecast that the entire dining experience or the food industry is going to change a lot. So now we're on our toes to come up with new innovations, new strategies, which will make us all the more robust to take up the challenge and come up with new kind of strategies to face the scenario post lockdown. So that's what our next target is as of now.
Right. Yeah, I think that's exciting, and I feel very proud that you are trying to take this uh, wonderful Indian cuisine to as many places as possible. And it's uh, you rightly said it that a lot of industries won't be the same when they emerge from this COVID
Absolutely.
19
So it's going to
pandemic.
be very different. That's what everyone forecasts. So, yes. So, but having said that, we are up for the challenge. So, food is something which, again, unless there's thirst and hunger, people will have to some point in time have food, right? As in, if not cook for themselves, order from outside. So we're very, in fact, very proud to be in such an industry, more so, which involves serving people. And yes, so post COVID, how different it's going to be, we're already on our toes to come up with different kind of strategies.
And I think you being at the helm of it, I think
Mm,
it won't be a stretch of imagination to think that there will be more innovative measures coming out of it. So I'm excited for it, and I hope that you achieve all those milestones, and you make a great difference to people's life, and you continue to do
thank you.
so.
Thank you, Alok.